Yeah, when you're feeling down and motivated in the midweek, we got the guys here to make your life complete. Little John, Brandon, Cody, Carly, they're coming in to keep you motivated all week. New episode, same time every week. Don't gotta wait long for the next one to release. So don't go away, sit down, take a seat, enjoy Midweek Motivation with John and Carly. Hey.
Midweek Motivation.
Let's go!
What is going on, Midweek Motivation crew? Welcome to our February edition, the first week of February. I think it's the first. Is it the first? I think it's the first episode we've had in February of Midweek. I'm so glad that you joined us. I don't know if you noticed this. I am a little bit alone at the moment. If you can't tell, all the other guys have other things that they're involved in. Shout out to all the guys on the show. A lot of good dudes, a lot of busy things going on. So they weren't able to join me this morning. So I hope that you plug in, and I'm really going to need some interaction with you in the chat today. Let me know. We are going to try some new things. So I'm doing this thing now whenever Carly's away, I'm just going to try new things and see what happens. So if it goes well, it goes well. If it doesn't, it doesn't, and that's okay. But I'm glad you joined us. I'm glad you plugged in. If you're not a part of our crew already, you're not getting our texts and everything, make sure you text MOTIVATE to 540-900-3838. That'll get you plugged in. That gets you in our group. That way you can receive all the cool motivating texts. You get plugged in for, maybe if we happen to do a contest or something like that, to get us a few more subscribers, all those good things. Or if you just need some motivation, that's what we're here for. And that's what I'm here for today. So we're going to try some things. We're going to see kind of how today goes. So far, so good. I think we could use some... I could use some help in the chat. Let me know if things are going terribly, like if you can't hear or something like that. You guys are always really good at stuff like that. But make sure that you let us know that you're here in the chat. I see Susan's already jumping in. There's Benny and Michelle. Benny and Michelle, I think I'm going to double check with you first, but I think next week is the time that we unveil the infamous picture of Benny and Michelle working and watching Midweek Motivation together. So I wouldn't do that to you without your permission. So I'm going to go ahead and ask permission, and then maybe next week we'll show that if I get permission. Although now that I've said it out loud on the internet, how could you not get permission, right? So make sure that you tune in next week. And yes, John Brunk, I am lonely, very lonely. But you know what? I told my parents a long time ago, if there's one skill that I have, it's talking. So I was thinking about this morning. I thought, man, what in the world am I going to talk about? So Cody had this great idea, and then he wasn't able to be here to help see it through. So I don't know if you guys know this, but there's this thing happening this Sunday, right? So something about the Super Bowl. Now, you guys don't know this about me. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. I like football, but I'm not a huge fan of football. So my football knowledge extends, or really stopped about the time I moved out of my house when I turned 18 and went to college. So my dad loves football. My little brother loves football. So I used to watch football with them. So I could tell you a whole lot about the Minnesota Vikings up until about 2004. And then I have almost no football knowledge. So we're going to see how this goes today. But we are going to talk a little bit about the Super Bowl. There's a couple things I wanted to run over. I just got a text from Carly giving me a hard time about being solo. So we'll see how that goes. Carly, I hope you're enjoying the golf course. That would be a good time. Carly's enjoying some time away. Got to spend some time with family. Sarah, I hope your husband is out working hard today. Cody is probably one of my favorite people I've ever met because he's an excellent drummer and he does a great job on this. Cool dude. Brandon, I don't know where he's been. Brandon's coming back eventually. He's a busy guy working hard. Brian, Katie, what's going on, guys? Benny and Michelle, John Brunk, Susan. All right, I feel better. It's going to be a good day. So like I said, there's some things going on. I did want to talk a little bit about some things that happened over the past week. So Saturday, maybe you're here, maybe you weren't. Saturday we had the story tour coming back to Roanoke. We had them right here at Parkway this past Saturday. Great time. So it was my first time ever seeing the story tour and kind of experiencing what that was. And, you know, I think when Carly first told me about it, my expectation was, that's cool. It's a concert. We're targeting, you know, people with addictions and, you know, different habits and things, try to, you know, help get them free and things. And it'll be cool. It'll be lots of loud music. It's going to be a great time. And that's kind of what I expected. And what happened was something very different. So we had the story tour here last year for the first time, and you've heard some of the great stories that came out of that. And the neat thing was getting to see them here on Saturday. One, the room it wasn't full, but it will be next year. That's what we're hoping and praying for. But it was plenty full. Alan Scott Band did a great job. And I think what surprised me the most is it wasn't just music, right? So they brought their tour pastor with them, Travis, and he shared his story of getting free from addiction and all that entailed with that. I won't ruin it because you just got to come see the story tour next year. You can go check out their stuff at allenscottmusic.com. But I think what was most impressive to me is that, yes, there was a concert. Yes, there was great music, and the band was stinking awesome. They did a version of Glorious Day, which if you've been around church world for a while, you've heard that song. It's okay, Cody. I won't hold it against you. Cody, you've been around plenty and spent plenty of time helping us move things around. So we'll give you a pass today for not being on the show. But anyways, while they were playing, they're playing Glorious Day, and they opened the song with the intro to Where the Streets Have No Name by U2. And I was telling Dustin about that, and he just looked at me like why does that matter? Well, I'm a huge U2 fan. I love U2. I love you too. Nothing? Okay. Hopefully you laughed. Yes. Susan, I saw you there. It was awesome. I'm so glad to see that you and Austin were there. It was a good time. Yes, the plan is to have them back next year, if at all possible. So good stuff, excellent music. And then above all, what was cool is they gave a call to follow Jesus, number one, and we had several people, I couldn't even count. Several people gave their hearts and lives to Jesus. Some people gave their hearts back to Jesus that day and rededicated their life this past Saturday. And then several people got set free from addictions. One of the cool stories we got to hear was a couple of follow-ups from the story tour being here last year. There was a gentleman named Dale, and I'm going to grab my notes, make sure I tell you this right, but Dale was here at the story tour last year and had just gotten out of jail and was working on getting his life back together, and had a pretty radical transformation at the story tour last year. And he was able to, come forward this week and share, where he's at now. A year later, he's still clean and his life is getting put back together, all because of what Jesus has done. I don't say all because of the story tour, but at least in large part because of what Jesus did at the story tour in his life. So things have turned around from him. We also got to meet a lady named Melissa that was here at the story tour last year. She and her drug dealer were both at the story tour last year. Their lives have both been turned around. I got to meet Melissa and her daughters. It is so cool to see what God does when people respond to the call he puts on them. When people are in a place where they can hear the gospel and they can hear that not only does Jesus want to save you from your sin, but he wants to save you from your addictions, and he has the power to set you free from those things. I just think that's cool. And it's the kind of thing that it's hard to communicate and, translate that to you over a computer screen. But man, if you have a chance to come to the story tour next year, so we're hoping and praying we're able to get them back. They want to come back. We want them back. So we're just going to keep bugging them till they come back. But if you have a chance to be a part of that next year, I'd really encourage you to jump in. The other thing too is that I think kind of surprised me about the story tour that I didn't know is we were able to invite, or they were able to invite a bunch of different organizations, local resource organizations, in order to help those who were struggling. So the story tour wasn't just set up to be a great concert, great night, get free from your addictions, and then, head on out the door, best of luck. We were able to help people get plugged into real resources that are going to now take them through the next steps of walking through their addiction and how to get free from it. So it's a great time. It's a cool ministry to be a part of. It's one of my favorite things that we get to do at Parkway Church is when we partner with organizations like that. It was just all around good. So I'd love to hear some of your stories, some of your thoughts, some of the things that you saw if you were there at Story Tour, or if you're planning on coming next year. Go ahead and drop those in the chat. We'd love to just see some of those things. Yes, Susan, I for sure hope they come again soon. Should be around next year. They are in North Carolina this weekend, North and South Carolina this weekend. So be praying for Travis and the Alan Scott Band, all those guys on the Story Tour, and for the good things that is going to happen there. The other thing that is happening soon, make sure you put it on your calendar, is the Matthew West Don't Stop Praying Tours coming to Parkway Church, March the 16th. You'd have to ask somebody smarter than me for the time. Tickets are almost sold out. So if you're interested, you better go get them now. ParkwayRoanoke.com. You can find the tickets there. All the information's there. It's good stuff. I'm looking forward to it. Also because Cochran and Company is going to be with them, and I'd never heard of them until I heard they were coming. So I've been listening to their stuff like on repeat since I heard they were coming. So make sure you come join us for that. That's Matthew West coming up on the 16th of March. And then we got Easter coming up like right near the end of March. So it's going to be a fast and furious next couple of weeks of things happening at Parkway. So I really hope you plug in, hope you're a part of all those things. But like we talked about, the Super Bowl is happening this Sunday. I am not a huge football fan. I like football. I'll watch it if it's on. But I'll tell you, so I'm from Michigan. That's where I spent most of my life, and I've lived a lot of years watching the Lions be terrible. A lot of years. And for some reason, this year was just a great year for Michigan football, right? So we got the Detroit Lions, almost making it just within striking distance of the Super Bowl. And then we've got, the good old Michigan Wolverines, Big Ten champs again, and then national champions for the first time in 26 years or so. It's been a hard several years to be a Michigan fan. So it was great to see them pull that off, and then to see the Lions come so close was an amazing thing. And then so now we've got the Chiefs and the 49ers, which I don't know. I'm not going to pretend like I know a whole lot about football. So just chime in. If I say something dumb about football, just let me know in the chat. It'll be okay. We can still be friends. So let me know in the chat who you're cheering for. Are you cheering for the 49ers? Are you cheering for the Chiefs? Now, the real question this year when it comes to Super Bowl 58, which quick question, when can we get away from the Roman numerals in numbering the Super Bowl? Because I shouldn't have to Google Roman numerals just to figure out how many years we've been doing this. So that's just my quick side note. I would love for them just to use the numbers in the Super Bowl, so I don't have to start figuring out the Roman numerals anymore in the future. But go ahead and drop in the chat who you cheering for, who you rooting for in Super Bowl 58 this year. Is it the Niners? Is it the Chiefs? And then, of course, the all-important question, will Taylor Swift actually make it to the Super Bowl? That is the question right now that is plaguing the internet. So if you haven't heard, of course, the most important thing surrounding Super Bowl is whether or not Taylor Swift is going to be in attendance. So she has a concert in Japan the night before the Super Bowl. So there's all these articles and questions about whether or not Taylor Swift will be able to make it. So hopefully you're excited to find out if Taylor will be at the Super Bowl watching the Chiefs and the Niners. If you are, go ahead and drop that in the chat. Let us know. this is where we're going to try something. Let's see if I can get this to work. So some of you are watching us each week on YouTube. Some of you watch on our app. Some of you watch on our website. And then several of you watch on YouTube. Now, we have been sitting at 499 subscribers for a good while. Let's see if it works. No, it's not going to work. Oh, of course it doesn't work. Man, I hate when things work earlier and then they don't work later. Well, we tried. It didn't work. That's okay. Make sure that's working. There we go. One of the things that we've been trying to do is make it past that 500 or make it past that 499 subscriber mark. So here's what we're going to do. We've been sitting at 499 for too long on YouTube. I'm going to go ahead and give away to our 500th subscriber a free drink from the cafe. So if you are watching and listening and you are not subscribed to us on YouTube, I'm tired of us being under 500. So go to YouTube and click subscribe, Parkway Church on the Mountain. Make sure you subscribe. Our 500th subscriber will get a free drink from the cafe. So make sure you go on and do that. John, I'm not a sports guy either. I like basketball a little, more or less. But you know what? That's okay. We can be not sports guys together. Let's see. Susan says, go Chiefs. Courtney, my wife, is cheering for the snacks. Good call. There will be homemade wings at our house and the little, we call them little Super Bowl weenies. It's going to be fantastic. Let's see. Who else? Yes. Benny and Michelle. I don't know if both of you are cheering for the snacks. At least one of you is cheering for the snacks. That's okay. Nothing wrong with cheering for the snacks. I like that. We should probably get into something that we're actually going to talk about today. But speaking of the Super Bowl, this was Cody's idea. So, Cody, I hope I do this justice. If not, Cody will do a better job of it next week. But one of the things that we see a whole lot especially in football and in sports, is there's a whole lot of faith in the football scene. So we've got numerous football players that, have expressed their Christian faith over the years. So most notably, the one that sticks in my head, just because, this is just what I know and who I remember, is, yes, Courtney, thank you. The YouTube page did pop up, but I don't think you could hear me, so I don't think it's going to work. But that's okay. All over the NFL, all over sports, we've seen athletes sharing their Christian faith. Which there's been a lot of skepticism around that, right? A lot of questioning, like, oh, are they just doing this to, present their brand and, try to connect with people, or are they genuine? And you know what? I'm just going to go ahead and assume they're genuine. Until I see something that tells me like, oh, they're not actually followers of Jesus, something to the contrary, I'm not going to go ahead and tell them that they're not, right? So one of the things that we've seen over the years, we've seen different athletes stepping forward and presenting their Christian faith, right? So Brock Purdy is one of those guys. So ironically enough, also one of the quarterbacks in the Super Bowl this year. No, Susan, it doesn't count if you unsubscribe and resubscribe. That'll not help us. But good try. I like that. Brock Purdy is going to be one of the quarterbacks in the Super Bowl this year, and there's several videos of him, showcasing his Christian faith, talking about what it means to be a follower of Jesus. Carly sent me one here a couple days ago, and had I been better at getting these things on the screen, you'd be able to watch it with me, but we're not going to today. I'll send it out if you want it, but. The cool thing is you've got these athletes, especially like Brock Purdy, and then probably more notably, you've got good old Tim Tebow wearing the 316 under his eyes, and then praying or Tebowing in the end zone and when he scored and things like that. What I think about that is cool is those guys get a lot of attention for that, right? But if you think about it, the reality is those are just guys doing their job and showcasing their Christian faith at the job that they have, right? So your job and my job don't get the same kind of exposure that guys like Brock Purdy do, right? Those guys don't have the same kind of, or we don't have the same kind of reach or publicity at our jobs, at least most of us, right? What I think is neat about that is, yes, it's a big deal that they're showcasing their Christian faith on that platform, but is it really something that you and I couldn't do? That's the question that comes to mind. So we give all these athletes big credit for showcasing their faith on that stage, but is it really something you and I couldn't do in our own workplace? So you and I don't have the same platform that they have, but what they're doing is they're sharing their values, sharing their worldview from a biblical standpoint with the world and the people around them. So that's my question for us today is when we think about your workplace, what would it be like for you to share your Christian faith? How can you share your Christian faith with the people that you come into contact with each and every day at work? Now, maybe you're right now, you're sitting at home and you're working from home, right? Maybe that's going to make it a little more challenging. But in what way can you show the people that you work with your life in Jesus and your value in Jesus? I want to take you to Matthew 5, verse 14 through 16. So this is Jesus in the Sermon on the Mount, just speaking to people. And he starts it this way in Matthew 5, verse 14. It says, "You are the light of the world." Now, here's what I want us to catch with that. The way that God primarily works in the world, right, in the 21st century, in 2024, the way that God chooses to work in the world, in people's lives, is through followers of Jesus. That's one of the primary ways that Jesus and the way that God works and changes people's hearts is he uses people to step into their lives and step into your life, right, to show the love of Jesus. So verse 14, "You are the light of the world. A town built on a hill cannot be hidden." Now, if you're talking about a stage, there's almost no bigger stage than the NFL, right? Maybe Taylor Swift might be slightly larger, but the NFL is a huge platform. So I think one of the things that's so neat is we're seeing these guys use this platform to showcase the name of Jesus. Verse 15 says, "Neither do people light a lamp and put it under a bowl. Instead, they put it on its stand, and it gives light to everyone in the house. In the same way, let your light shine before others, that they may see your good deeds and glorify your Father in heaven." So what I think is interesting about that, I'm just going to pull out a couple things from there. One of the interesting things is he doesn't say, go to work and tell all of your friends about Jesus. Now, Jesus is being, I think, a little vague and kind of intentionally vague, right? But in verse 16, let your light shine before others. So shining your light at work doesn't necessarily mean proselytizing all your friends, handing out tracts, doesn't necessarily mean bombarding everybody that you work with, like, hey, do you know Jesus? That's not the only thing we're talking about. There's certainly a place for that. And depending on your workplace, maybe you should be doing that. In fact, there's probably people in your life right now at your workplace that you just need to have a real frank spiritual conversation with. But more than that, I think what Jesus is getting at, and if we contextualize it kind of in your workplace, is your life should show Jesus. The way that you respond to things, right? So we all have leaders. Are you participating in those conversations where you complain about your leaders, right? So I got to work at a cell phone store for about 5 years, and I had leaders the entire time. And I worked at the bottom, and I got to lead my own store for a little while. And the reality is, in every workplace, people stop and complain about their leaders. But what would it look like if you're the one who's different? If you're the one that doesn't participate in that workplace gossip? If you're the one that when people start to complain, maybe you bring a little bit of light. You don't necessarily have to rebuke people for, complaining about their job and things, but what if you're the one that brings some light into that gossip? What if you can steer that conversation in a more positive way? Because here's what I guarantee happens. If you are the one that is constantly presenting the positive outlook on, hey, you know what? What a privilege it is to have this job. What a privilege it is to have a workplace where I can earn a living and provide food and shelter for my family. What if that's your outlook? What a blessing it is to have this job. Because others aren't so blessed as to have that job. So what if that's you? I think that's one way that we can shine that light that Jesus is talking about. Because I guarantee you this is what's going to happen, because this is what happened to me, is people will ask, why in the world you're always so positive at work? And that's an opportunity to share with them why you have this positive outlook. Because you know what? My hope is not in this job. My hope is in Jesus. And me being a follower of Jesus changes my outlook. So what would it be like for you to show that light in your workplace? That's what I want to challenge us with a little bit this week, is what would it be like for you to shine that light in your workplace? Now, please don't go and get fired, okay? Please don't jump up on the table at your workplace this afternoon and start preaching and in a way that's going to get you fired. Now, if it's not going to get you fired and you feel like that's what God's telling you to do, hey, go for it. But please don't do things that are going to get you fired. That's not what I'm trying to say, and I don't want to be responsible for that. But think of ways that you can show Jesus in your workplace. And it might even be just as simple as, connecting with some coworkers, recognizing when they're struggling, and maybe as you build a relationship with them, invite them to church. You could invite them to share with you kind of things that are going on, and you can connect with them and even pray over them, pray with them. John Brunk, way to go. Again, I want to be John Brunk when I grow up. John says, my coworkers get a healthy dose of worship music and an attitude of gratitude for what I've been blessed with. Amen. Look at that. Reality is, I don't care what you do, there is a way that you can show the light of Jesus in your workplace. If they can do it in the NFL, right, where you really kind of have every reason not to, right? The name of Jesus is not the most popular name in all circles, especially in celebrity circles. So if that can happen in a place like the NFL, why can't it happen in your office or in your store, or in your workplace, wherever it is you work? Maybe you're a server. Maybe you're waiting tables. What would it be like when you've got customers that are kind of bringing a hateful attitude and being ungrateful? What would it be like if you were able to show the light of Jesus and not respond in the same way and, kind of get back at them for the way that they're treating you, but just show some love and show some grace? That's what I want to challenge us with today. Thank you so much for sticking with me. This has been a good time. I'm not going to say I enjoy doing this by myself, because I love having the guys around, but I'm going to tell you, I was real nervous that there would be nobody in the chat at all, and it would be, super quiet. So thank you so much for interacting with me, jumping in the chat, sharing with us. We have a cool group here at Midweek Motivation. It's not just a cool show that, where you get to plug in and watch our technical difficulties and listen to us talk, but it's what I think is a true community. And I love that. So what I'd love for you to do is I'd love for you to share this with somebody around you. Maybe they can be our 500th subscriber, and you can invite them to church, and then you can be like, hey, look, if you come to church, you can, cash in on this free drink at the cafe. Maybe you need to invite somebody to church. Maybe there's somebody at your work or somebody in your family that just needs a little bit of motivation, a little bit of kindness, a little bit of extra love, just need to see some positivity in the world. maybe that's them, and maybe you can share this with them. So share this, like this. If you're not already subscribed to us on YouTube, go do that now, and maybe you can be our 500th subscriber, which I'm going to check real quick to see if we're already there. Let's refresh. Maybe we got a 500th subscriber already on the air. How cool would that be? Oh, we are at 500 subscribers, and I'm not smart enough to figure out who it is. So we are at 500 subscribers. So maybe it's you, and you've already won. I'll figure out who it is, and then I will get in touch with you in order to get your free drink from the cafe. But thanks so much for joining us. Make sure you text Motivate to 540-900-3838. You can join the conversation with us, get plugged in. And if you've got prayer requests, anything, if you just need some encouragement, you can text that number, and we got people that receive that, and we'll pray for you, pick that up, and converse with you right then and there. Make sure you join us this Sunday at 9 or 10:30 right here in Roanoke. We're stepping into our second week of our stewardship series, All I Need Is More Money. Make sure you jump in last week. Pastor Dustin brought a great message about what it means to give and what it really means to be wealthy and what God's image of a wealthy person is. So I'd love for you to jump in on that. Go to parkwayroanoke.com. All the information about the church is there. You can go watch old episodes of Midweek Motivation. Everything is there. All the information about upcoming events, which I just realized I forgot one. One event coming up that you need to be a part of is Parkway Off the Mountain, coming February 19th through the 24th. We're jumping off the mountain, and we're partnering with an organization called Straight Street right here in downtown Roanoke. There's tons of opportunities to serve them. We're trying to get off the mountain. And Parkway is not just an organization that puts on great services and great worship times on Sundays, but we want to be a church that steps into the community, serves the community, and really makes a difference. So I'd love for you to go to parkwayroanoke.com/off the mountain. You can find all the details there for Parkway Off the Mountain coming the 19th through the 24th. Hopefully you plug in. I hope to see a volunteer there. There's lots of details about ways you can get involved. We need people of all ages and sizes. There is some way to get plugged in to Parkway Off the Mountain. So I hope you join us the 19th through the 24th for that. Again, thanks so much for joining us for another episode of Midweek Motivation. We hope you have a great week.
One, two, three, four. One.